Okay, let's shift again to what might seem like a very different angle, but one that ties in surprisingly well. The idea that our life here on Earth is a game.
Yeah, this is where Alan Watts' concept of the cosmic joke or the divine play becomes really interesting.
The cosmic joke sounds a bit cynical.
Not necessarily cynical, more like profoundly playful. Watts often described existence as this grand, elaborate, playful endeavor. The idea is that the divine, or ultimate reality, in its infinite potentiality, chooses to sort of forget its own nature.
It forgets itself. Why?
To experience the thrill, the drama, the variety of the world through the limited perspectives of individual beings, like us. He sometimes framed it as the divine playing hide and seek with itself.
Hide and seek, that's a really compelling image. And he felt we take this game so seriously because we've forgotten that fundamental playful nature. We've forgotten we're playing hide and seek.
Precisely. He pointed out this paradox. To really dive into the experience, to make it convincing, we have to engage with it seriously. We have to feel the emotions, strive for things, care about outcomes.
Otherwise, it wouldn't feel real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the suffering, Watts argued, often comes when we forget it's ultimately a game. When we become too attached, too identified with our roles, too invested in how things must turn out.
Yeah.
When we take it all too literally.
And lose perspective.
Right. The deeper insight here is that if you can remember, even just occasionally, the game-like quality, you can detach a bit from the rigid expectations and the intense dramas. It can lessen the suffering.
So it's about finding that balance, being fully involved, playing your part with sincerity, but also remembering there's a kind of fundamental lightheartedness at the very heart of it all.
That's a great way to put it. That cosmic amnesia, as he sometimes called it, forgetting our divine, playful source, is the root of our excessive seriousness.
Right. And this idea of life as play or a game, it shows up in other traditions too, doesn't it? It's not just Watts.
Oh, absolutely. Hinduism has this beautiful concept called Leela.
Leela.
Yeah, L-I-L-A. It literally translates as play or sport. It describes the creation and the ongoing existence of the universe not as some grim necessity or deterministic process, but as the spontaneous, joyful, creative activity of Brahman.
So the universe exists out of divine delight, not out of need.
Exactly. It's seen as this free, exuberant expression of the divine, playing itself out in infinite forms. It aligns perfectly with this idea of life as a kind of divine game.
That really shifts how you might view, well, everything, the struggles, the joys, all part of this cosmic play. And then there's Maya. How does Maya fit into this game idea?
Maya is often translated as illusion or magic.
Yeah.
It's like this power or veil that obscures our clear perception of the true nature of reality, Brahman. It makes us see a fragmented world of separate objects and individuals instead of the underlying unity.
So Maya creates the game board in a way.
You could say that. In the context of Leela, this illusion, Maya, is almost necessary for the game to be immersive and engaging. If we constantly perceive the underlying oneness, the whole experience of individuality, separateness, drama, which drives so much of the game, wouldn't really be possible.
It's like putting on VR goggles. You need the illusion to really get into the game world.
That's a fantastic analogy, yeah. Maya provides the VR goggles for the cosmic game.
And Buddhism, too, talks a lot about illusion, doesn't it? With emptiness, sunyata.
Absolutely. The Buddhist teaching that our perceptions of reality aren't ultimately solid, real, or permanent resonates strongly with this idea of life being like a grand, immersive illusion or dream.
Okay.
Sunyata, often translated as emptiness, points to the fact that all phenomena, including ourselves, lack any inherent, fixed, unchanging self or essence. Everything is dependently arisen, interconnected, impermanent.
So understanding that things aren't as solid as they seem
Can help free us from taking the game too seriously. It helps us loosen our grip, our clinging to things that are ultimately impermanent and lack that inherent existence we project onto them.
It's like knowing it's just a movie. Even when the plot gets really intense, you can appreciate it without being totally devastated by it.
Exactly. Realizing sunyata can bring about a profound sense of liberation from that kind of attachment and suffering.
And mystical traditions generally across the board seem to echo this idea of the material world being some form of illusion or dream or play of consciousness.
Yes, very often. Many mystics describe our everyday waking experience as a kind of temporary manifestation within a larger, vaster consciousness, like we're characters or events unfolding within this cosmic dream. Recognizing that can radically shift our perspective on the weight and seriousness we usually attach to our lives.
Okay, this brings us to a really key point, maybe the key point. This seeming contradiction, right? How do you live seriously, engage fully with life, while also seeing it as a kind of game or play? How do we balance that?
It seems like a paradox, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Alan Watts, again, gave us a really useful way to think about this with his idea of serious playfulness.
Serious playfulness. Okay.
It's about throwing yourself fully and passionately into life. Like a great actor completely committed to their role on stage. You feel it, you mean it.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe in the back of your mind or at a deeper part of your being, you maintain a little bit of distance. You remember it's still, in some sense, a play.
Yeah.
He also talked about sincere play.
Sincere play.
Meaning you invest yourself genuinely in the experience, you care about what you're doing, but without being rigidly attached to specific outcomes or taking the rules too literally. You play full out, but you know the final score isn't the ultimate point.
So it's about being present, engaged, authentic, but without getting completely swept away by the drama or crushed by the setbacks. Finding that sweet spot between wholehearted involvement and a healthy sense of perspective.
Exactly that. And it's interesting, philosophy has touched on this too. Aristotle, for instance, considered eutropelia, which we might translate as something like ready wit, good humor, or playfulness as a virtue.
A virtue, like courage or justice.
Yeah. He saw it as a kind of mean, a balance between being buffoonish or overly silly on one hand and being boorish or rudely serious on the other. He thought it was important for social flourishing, for a well-lived life.
So for Aristotle, playfulness wasn't just trivial fun. It was actually a vital part of living well.
Exactly. And much later, the American philosopher John Dewey also talked about the interconnectedness of playfulness and seriousness. He didn't see them as opposites.
How did he see them?
He thought that a playful attitude could actually enhance serious activities, boosting our engagement, our creativity, our learning. He saw this blend as part of an ideal mental state where we're fully absorbed but also flexible and open.
Okay, so bringing this back to the listener, it seems like recognizing life as this kind of cosmic game, even with all the real challenges and hardships it throws at us, that perspective shift could actually lead to more enjoyment, maybe less suffering.
I think that's the potential, yeah. If we understand the underlying nature of reality as potentially playful, or maybe a bit illusory in the way Buddhists or mystics describe, it just creates some breathing room, some space from those really intense personal dramas.
The meaning might shift.
Exactly. The meaning of this cosmic game might not be about achieving some final score, some external validation, or some predetermined goal.
So what is it then?
Perhaps the meaning is the process itself, the very experience of it all, the self-discovery, maybe even the universe's self-discovery through us, the learning, the connecting, the feeling.
And adopting a playful attitude, like serious playfulness, could actually make us more resilient when things get tough.
I think so. It encourages approaching challenges with a bit more flexibility, maybe a lighter touch, knowing that even the difficult parts, the struggles, they add to the richness and complexity of the game, of the overall experience.
It helps shift focus, maybe, away from constantly chasing the next external achievement.
And towards valuing the intrinsic quality of each moment, each experience, just as it is. Seeing it all as part of this incredible, unfolding cosmic play.
Right. Okay, so to try and bring this all together, we've explored this really quite mind-expanding set of ideas that you, the listener, are simultaneously this individual person, but also somehow the universe becoming aware of itself, and also a spark of the divine, a child of God in that Hindu sense.
Or possessing Buddha nature.
Right. And on top of all that, a participant, maybe even a player in this grand cosmic game.
It sounds like a lot when you list it like that.
It does. But these different perspectives drawn from Alan Watts, from Hinduism, Buddhism, philosophy, mystical traditions, they aren't necessarily contradictory. They seem to offer this really powerful, layered way to understand your life, your existence.
And really considering these concepts, letting them sink in, it can genuinely shift how you see things, how you experience your life.
Leading, potentially, to a life that feels more meaningful, maybe with less unnecessary suffering.
And perhaps a deeper sense of connection to yourself, to others, and to something much, much bigger than your individual self.
So here's something to really mull over, maybe carry with you after listening. How might embracing this kind of perspective, seeing yourself as the universe waking up, seeing life as this intricate, maybe even playful, cosmic game, how might that actually change your approach?
Yeah, how would it change your day-to-day life, the challenges you face?
What might start to feel less heavy, less burdensome?
And what new possibilities for joy, for connection, for just being might open up.
It's definitely something worth reflecting on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.